This is George Dionne of the Rock is George podcast, and this is a KNAC.com exclusive interview with vocalist Joshua Todd of the hard rock act Buckcherry. If I knew absolutely nothing about Buckcherry, how would you describe the band's music to me?
Um, wow, reckless abandon.
I'd have to agree with that. You guys have a new album coming out on June 13th called Roar Like Thunder through RoundHill Records. This is sort of a straight up rock and roll album. You got catchy riffs and hooky choruses, which I pretty much found myself singing the second time that the chorus came around. So
Let's go.
was this your goal in putting this album together?
Of course. Want to write songs you can remember for sure, you know. Yeah, the only stipulation on this record was to make a rocking record from beginning to end, no ballads, no covers, and make the song quality really good. And I feel like we've really accomplished it. We're on a real roll with the last three records, Hellbound, Volume 10, and this one. They've just been really great. And I'm super grateful. And yeah, we're having a lot of fun.
Would you kind of attribute the success that you're having songwriting wise because of the trio of you, Steve D, and Marty Fredrickson?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, Marty Fredrickson's involvement with this band goes way back to the 15 days. We co-wrote Sorry with him, and then he produced Black Butterfly and co-wrote songs with him on that, and so we're very comfortable with him. He's almost like the sixth band member when we get this, when we start getting a record together, and it's a lot of fun.
Well, when we talk a little bit about the songs, you got three of them out ahead of the album. Roar Like Thunder is the album's title. So why don't you tell me a little bit about that one?
Yeah, it's just a ripper, it's the Roar Like Thunder is about the rat race, and how there's so much information coming at all of us all the time, especially with the internet and now how everybody's connected, and I don't know if that's such a great thing, but it is what it is, and you can get sidetracked really easy. And Roar Like Thunder is about staying focused and on your goals and your passion and what it is that makes you tick and what is and inspires you, and going after it, and being great.
The whole album is positive in my opinion, and it seems like it's sort of like a living life album. I would say with Come On, that might be the other side of social media, kind of getting out there and living life and not worrying about the noise around you. Am I close?
Yeah, it's a lot more of the same. It's about distractions, and come on's really about, like, if you want something you have to definitely go after it. It's not going to just come to you. You can't just you know sit in a closet and shut the door and pray for everything to happen and it's gonna all work out. You got to go out and get it. So that's what come on's about. And set it free is a lot of fun too. It's doing really well. And one of my favorite songs on the record is Blackout, because I wrote that about, my childhood and I was a blackout drinker when I was drinking and using. And so that's like my favorite song on the record. It's a lot of fun. We wrote a song called Talking About Sex. That's about Cardi B. I love Cardi B. I think she's dangerous. And the song was really inspired by George Michael's. I saw the Wham documentary on Netflix, and I had no idea the depth of his talent. I didn't know that he was a producer and a songwriter as well as like this amazing singer, and he had a song called I Want Your Sex. And I was like, we got to write our sex song. So, stuff like that. It's been a lot of fun putting that record together.
Did you ever have an opportunity to meet either George Michael or Cardi B?
No. And that would have been amazing. Can't do it with George Michael, but like Cardi B would be great. Yeah. I think
I
I'd
think
get along with her. I think I'd get along with Cardi.
I think you might. Going back to the song.
No, no, she seems like a no nonsense type of gal, and I like that, and I think she's a tremendous talent, and I would love to meet her.
Going back to Blackout, you mentioned it's about when you had a problem with alcohol and whatnot. From what I understand, you're 30 years sober now, right?
Yeah, over 30 years for sure. Yeah, it's crazy.
Is is there any difficulty being in a rock band, being around this stuff? Maybe any temptation or anything like that?
I mean, there's always temptation. You don't have to be in a rock band to find temptation, you know. No, you just got to work at it, you know. It doesn't go away. It doesn't go away. In fact, it gets more intense between your years. You know, the longer you stay sober, the more you have to do to feel good in your own skin without, numbing yourself from the neck up, you know. So I work really hard at that, and I could go on and on about that, but yeah, that's what I do.
What has been your replacement? Like Alice Cooper, his replacement was golf. He enjoys golf, and that kind of took a bit of
Yeah,
time. What do you
yeah.
do?
Well, I'm a huge I'm into tennis a lot. You know, I play a lot of tennis, and that's my hobby outside of family and work, and I love that, and that's great for me. But like for my disease of alcoholism and drug addiction, like I said, it's your mind that's different from others. So I have a spiritual regimen. Like it's a spiritual solution, this solution, for this disease. And so it's a disease of self, so you got to get out of self. How do you do that? Well, you used to do it by just numbing yourself. That's how you get out of self, but we don't do that anymore. So working with others, doing inventories, being accountable for your actions. I meditate, I work out. That's very good for my mind and my mental health and stuff like that.
Absolutely. This album is your third album with RoundHill Records. How did you originally sign with the label?
Oh yeah. Geez, it was a while ago. Yeah, the president of the label just liked us, Josh Gruess, and they were signing a lot of older rock bands to that label at the time, and we were one of them. Wanted to be scooped up. We're with Earache Records in the UK, and they've been really amazing as well, and Sony and Japan, and it's like it's all doing working really well.
You're currently out co-headlining dates in North America with Steel Panther. How is it going so far?
It's going great. We've been up in Canada for over a month. This is our last show tonight. Sold out tonight. We had a lot of sold out shows during this run, and those guys are great. We've toured with them before in Australia and had a lot of fun. They're Southern California boys, and I'm born and raised in Southern California, so it's like hanging out with like my high school buddies. Like when we do get together, and we're all business though. Everybody we've all been doing this a while, so we all have our own little routine, but we have a lot of fun out here doing this, and it's a good package.
I think Steel Panther is a fantastic band. If they got away from the comedy, I think they'd have some really great songs. I mean, I enjoy the comedy, but I mean, they really make really good songs. Like I heard one, but it's like the dirtiest lyrics ever. I'm like, this could be a really good on the radio song.
Yeah, and they're very talented musicians, all of them, so yeah, I mean, but that's what works for them, and they're doing really well with it. So I understand what you're saying.
Do you guys get a chance to jam on stage to a song or two every now and then?
I don't do any extra jamming because I'm 54, and it takes me everything to do the Buckcherry set, and then I'm done. But some of the other guys have gotten up there, and I think Kelly goes up and smokes a joint with Darren every night, the drummer, and so they have fun doing that.
How much of the new material have you been able to work into your set?
All of it. Right now everybody's heard Roar Like Thunder and Come On, and we're playing that live right now. And Set It Free just dropped, and so we're going to debut it tonight at tonight's show. We're gonna play it, so that'll be fun.
Nice. I saw that you're touring through North America through the summer. Towards the end of the summer, you're going to be opening up for the Scorpions in a Las Vegas residency at the Planet Hollywood Resort and Casino.
Yep. We sure are. That was going to happen in May, but it got moved. And we're doing it in August now, so we're really excited. I mean, that's going to be like a bucket list for us, to play with those guys. We've never played with them, and we were all fans of them when we were kids, and so it's going to be fun.
Was this just an opportunity that was presented to you, or was this something like your management was seeking out?
I mean, yeah, our management, our booking agent submits us, but a lot of bands get submitted, and they have their pick. They can choose whatever they want, and Francis, our drummer, has a really good relationship with those guys. He used to tech for them a while back, and so um, we had a little in there, but still, it's up to them if they want us on it, and they chose to have us on for those shows, so we're just like, yes, it's great.
You've been in the game for a while. Do you think that these Las Vegas residencies and sort of even these stops at casinos that bands have been playing a lot lately, you think that's kind of where live music is heading?
No, I mean we play everywhere. I mean those are just venues. All casinos have live venues to attract people so that they'll come into the casino after the show. I mean, so casino and bands love playing casinos because they treat bands really well. There's always great accommodations. You know what I mean? They they have great accommodations. They give you meal tickets, and you get food, and everything's taken care of. And so, as musicians, when you're in venues every night, you really appreciate that. So, we always like casinos to be on the schedule for sure.
You have this really unique set of dates coming up in November at Barcelo Riviera Maya. It's sort of like a destination concert. Have you ever done anything like that before?
Where is that? I don't know. I don't even know. I'm staying in the
Called
moment here.
it's called Rock the Tides.
That's Cabo San Lucas. Yeah.
I guess that
Yeah.
advertising it as that,
Yeah,
but
that's gonna be a lot of fun if it is the Riviera. I don't know where that is. I thought it was Cabo, but we'll have a lot of fun. We've played with Motley in the past, and Def Leppard's amazing. You know what I mean? It's gonna be great, but that's a ways away.
yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of concerts today get promoted like 6 months to a year in advance now.
Yes, sir. But we're doing like shows every week all the way up to it. So, we're trying to we don't like I don't look too far ahead or I get overwhelmed. I have to stay in the week.
Also, this year was the 20th anniversary of your album 15. Atlantic had put out an anniversary edition of it with some bonus acoustic songs. Was this something that you had involvement with, or just something that the label does on their own?
Of course, we recorded those songs, we re-recorded them. It was a lot of fun and um yeah, they asked us if we would and we did. So we had fun doing that, me and Stevie, and it was cool and they came out cool and I think they're great takes on songs that people have heard a lot, and it was fun to do that.
So the acoustic material is newer material. It's not from that time, 20 years ago.
It is not from that time 20 years ago. No.
This was a pretty landmark album for Buckcherry. What do you remember about putting it together back in 2005?
So much. I mean, it was such a huge comeback record for us. Everybody had written us off. It was our biggest commercial success for sure, so and it was our third record, so all that being said, I mean, I could go on and on about, what we overcame to get that record where it was at, and it just it's a amazing story. We titled it 15 because we had very little money to record, and we did it in 15 days, and so on and so forth. Nobody would sign the record in the United States. Um, and our manager at the time, Alan Kovac, he started his own independent record label, 11/7, just to put out the Buckcherry 15 record. And then it went on to become a really big independent record label, and then we had an upstreaming clause with Atlantic, and of course, once Buckcherry hit, everybody wanted to be our friends again. We were all of a sudden great, you know, and um, and then we rode the wave.
One of your albums that I really enjoyed that I don't think gets talked about much is Confessions from 2013.
Yeah,
Fantastic album from beginning to end, and I think
thank
a
you.
hidden gem in your catalog.
It is, and it's kind of the only concept type-ish record we ever made. It's about the seven sins, and we turned all the sins into songs. And for me, it was really challenging, because I don't come from like an organized religion, uh, you know, type background, so I didn't know a whole lot about the sins. So I had to really kind of study them and try to craft them in a way it would be cool songs. And so that was exciting for me. It was challenging. We had to write and rewrite songs, to make them, happen, and that was the challenging part. And so by the time it was all said and done, yeah, it's a great piece of the Buckcherry puzzle.
Absolutely. Well, those are all the questions I have for you today, Josh. The new Buckcherry album is Roar Like Thunder. Comes out June 13th through RoundHill Records. Fantastic record.
Thank you.
Pure, straight up rock and roll. I love it, and I hope you do well with it. And I want to thank you for telling me more about it today.
Thanks so much, man. And yeah, June 13th it drops. You can pre-order it right now in all digital streaming formats.